I got an interesting comment from an audience member talking about PlayStation's current position in the market. Shout out to Charles Bainovsky. They said, VG Fight Club. I don't have a fight club, whatever. Given what we know about how badly mismanaged Sony was this gen, in addition to COVID, I think in addition to COVID is just an excuse. Let's stop using that as a caveat because gaming companies made way more money during that time. I think that was an outlier year. It should have been an advantage for a lot of people. Who is to say that they haven't learned and won't right the ship for a strong PS6 launch? No one is even talking about a PS6 launch. If at this point you want to, start pushing into the PS6 ecosystem, then you have to also concede that the PS5 is a waste. I wouldn't go ahead and go that far, even though I know it's a disappointment and I can basically argue from now till tomorrow. But to start talking about PS6 is already a capitulation that there's nothing left here in the PS5 gen for PS5, for PlayStation. Another thing too is the ship that you want PlayStation to write, they already know exactly how to write that ship. They just refuse to do so. They need a multi-plat strategy because the so-called exclusive strategy doesn't work like Nintendo's does. I mean, just recently, I was shown a video from Sarbrovian where he was talking about these so-called PlayStation games and how PlayStation is dead because PlayStation fans pretty much killed it. And he was showing all kinds of percentages of the player base that actually did engage with these so-called PlayStation games. He showed up Demon's Souls. He showed up a game like Astrobot. He showed up a game like God of War Ragnarok and showed up many other games and how many people actually did care to buy them and the percentage of the PlayStation player base that did buy those games. And those percentages were just way too low. They cannot sustain PlayStation in its growth model. So in order for them to basically right the ship, they have to go sell their games somewhere else. So they won't do it. Or they're not in the position where they're ready to do it because they have to posture as if they have all of this, according to what we'll call, market position that they don't have. They do not have it. And then another piece is the games that they're making are not even really that appealing to a lot of people. Already, if you're looking at a game like Intergalactic, it's already getting 280,000 dislikes. The Naughty Dog version of the video is getting comments disabled. You already know that that game is in trouble. When you have to hide comments for a game, a AAA game, with such an expense attached to it, you already know that there's fire on the mountain. Something is burning, right? And so if at this rate, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at this whole conversation and say, oh, okay, how is PlayStation going to right the ship? And they have all of the exact ideas to right the ship, and they're not righting the ship, then again, you have to basically try to jump to the PS6 era. But what's going to change if they're not changing those things in the PS5 era? Xbox is making its amends in the Series X and Series S era. So if anything, the Xbox launch is poised to actually be the thing that PlayStation players are actually wishing for when it comes down to it. And you see something that you also pointed out. You said, according to developers, you said PSSR is catching up to DLSS. There is not the world where DLSS will allow for PSSR to catch up. Why? NVIDIA is a dedicated GPU hardware company. Their research and development and the trillions of dollars that they spend into it is not something that PlayStation is going to just basically spin up a super sample resolution and then catch up to. You already see the 50 series, right? How did you come to the conclusion that DLSS, which has now gone to a multi-frame generation capability, at this stage, while they're still fighting about how to basically get PSSR to work, is in a sense going to catch up? There's just no way. PlayStation needs to invest money in its games. NVIDIA knows to invest money in its own technologies, and it does that with 100% commitment. For PlayStation to be all over the place trying to get PSSR to work and all that, that is just a distraction from what they need to be doing, and it's a gimmick that they're selling you. You were told when PS5 Pro was coming out, everybody was talking nonsense. A lot of these talking heads on the PS side, they said PC gamers hate and we're jealous. It's like, jealous of what? Bro, we got a $500 GPU that can simulate a $1499 GPU, and we'll be jealous of at what? At your 2.5x RDNA nonsense that, y'all were overselling all over the place? That's not the reality. The reality is you're basically buying into an optical illusion if you're thinking this is the case. So you saying Sony realizes that they need to accommodate their studio's strength, that's one way to put it. or I think Sony is acknowledging their studio's shortcomings, because live service games, not everybody can do them. And Sony has not built the pipeline to do it. The Bungie that they acquired is a poorly managed Bungie that they got, and they've had to basically go in there and right the ship so that they're not leaking money after that acquisition. So many things are going weird for them, because if they could buy Activision, they would have, but they didn't have that kind of money. You said this, not that subs are the only metric, and I'm not sure if you've covered this, but Xbox getting anywhere near 100 Game Pass subs is going to be challenging without a strong Xbox Prime launch. You see, that's where you're wrong. Xbox doesn't need an Xbox Prime or console launch to get Game Pass subscribers. Xbox can get a Game Pass subscriber from a bus station. Do you hear what I said? Xbox can get a Game Pass subscriber from a bus station standing trying to get a bus, or from a train station trying to get a train. They can whip out their phone when everything is all settled and they can get past this block that was put ahead. Believe you me, a Game Pass subscriber can pull their phone out and subscribe to Game Pass right on the spot without having to get a console. So now you have to realize and say, well, I guess that means PlayStation's whole business is predicated on a console. They put all their eggs in one basket, and their basket is not solid enough to hold back the barrage of creatives that are also on their platform. You see what the problem is? And again, you know what's crazy? We're talking about Xbox. While trying to diagnose PlayStation's issues, you've basically told me that maybe they can right the ship, but somehow Xbox can't reach this goal. You don't dove into Xbox conversations again. I wish that PlayStation fans will actually concentrate on PlayStation. PlayStation will probably be much better than it is today. You said this, reality check, it will be a tougher sell than the Series X and S without any exclusives. Look, you have a second paragraph dedicated to Xbox, but you've already said, don't I think that they're going to right the ship when they don't have the money to right the ship? Whether we consider the console war dead or alive, one thing we know is that selling subscriptions independent of a console has proven to be difficult. I mean, making, filet mignon in the right way, that's basically going to reach the 5-star restaurant, quality, is difficult. For crying out loud. Are we talking difficulty today? Is difficulty now the metric? I'd say getting subscribers on Game Pass without a console is much easier today than you think. I'd say it's actually much easier than PlayStation launching a successful live service game. Because that's evidenced by the fact that they've canceled 9. They have some coming out. They're already deleting comments on some. They're not talking much about the others. And then even their single player games are also getting, heavy scrutiny. I'd say it's kind of hard. Game Pass has got, 30 million subscribers. It was brought out in 2017. And that's already like, in terms of subscribers, about 30 million are Game Pass. And this is not core. What is this? Game Pass Ultimate? Because 80% or more, according to some reports, they deleted it. I don't know why they deleted it. Perhaps maybe they were not being honest. But at least what we saw from Statistia, it was a huge percentage as of 2022 that were subscribed to Game Pass on the console side without PC. PC Ultimate is cheap. So almost every PC player that has the Game Pass Ultimate subscription, using Ultimate. I don't have to have an Xbox to subscribe to Game Pass. When Game Pass was first launched and they were giving out the $1 trial, I didn't need an Xbox. I didn't have one then. And I was already a subscriber to Game Pass. So this whole notion that you're going to need Xbox, you're going to need Game Pass, it's a distraction from PlayStation's current failings. Do you see how you gave PlayStation a free pass and then went there and started to hold Xbox by the shirt saying you can't do what they've already been doing since 2017? This is why PlayStation is where it's at. Sorry to say, but I think the PlayStation fans, you might be inadvertently the biggest proxy, or I guess I would say the biggest cause of this problem. You have not demanded much from PlayStation. You've just basically taken everything that's been fed to you. They gave you a shiny game with good lighting, good graphics, good 3D character models, and it blinded your eyes. And well, let's see how far they can keep giving you those $300 million games. which is actually much harder to make a $300 million game than it is to get a Game Pass sub without a console. Because you can be a Game Pass subscriber, right? Wherever you are right now, you can be a Game Pass subscriber. Yeah. I guess you see how that works. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.